Hi there, my name is Juan Carlos Acevedo. I am an American citizen, happily living in Singapore for the past 12 and a half years. Thank you for watching this video, which is a sharing on my status as a mid-careerist and some thoughts that I have on it. I hope that you find it helpful in your own career journey. I have had the great pleasure of spending the past 25 plus years in various roles within the operations, risk management, and compliance space in financial services. This time period coincided with the greatest boom we have ever seen. I consider myself very fortunate. In retrospect, I had to say that I was prepared well by my primary and secondary public school education in New York City. Subsequently, my graduate education at St. John's University and Pace University similarly prepared me well. I benefited from a very practical and hands-on program that beat into our heads planned obsolescence and the reality that globalization meant a constant upgrading of skills would be necessary throughout my career. For young professionals starting out, these are my thoughts on career management. Number 1, know your shit. Number 2, get along with people, at least most of the time. Number 3, get things done and be able to demonstrate this by articulating your accomplishments. Number 4, feel free to change jobs, but wait at least 2 years. I have found it takes 18 months to master a role. And number 5, continually know where you are, upskill, and adapt as you go. I have to say, in my case, the meaty part of my career was between the ages of 35 and 45 years. Those have indeed turned out to be the peak earning years. Here are some general thoughts that I have about myself as a mid-careerist. I am confident in my abilities, and I don't like to be micromanaged, handheld, or second-guessed. I warmly embrace all those mistakes I made in my career, along with my limitations now. I am willing to take a pay cut, provided that other aspects of the role are within my requirements. I prefer to downshift and do more strategic or management type of work. No more grunt work for me, thanks. That's for youngsters. A hard fixed hierarchy makes little sense in a knowledge economy. Titles don't mean very much. Skills and knowledge do. From an employer standpoint, we mid-careerists are indeed high maintenance, and we may come with baggage, but you most certainly definitely need us. The many sayings attributed to that great sage Yogi Berra, he once said, "If you come to a fork in the road, take it." A lot of us arrive at a juncture in our careers where we stop, we think, and we ask ourselves, do we want to continue in this line of work, or do we want to start up anew doing something else? The answer to that question depends on the reason that you want to make a change. If we have built up a certain amount of experience in a given industry, we should generally try to stick it out because it's very, very difficult to start over. One must undertake a process of introspection and get to know ourselves very, very well. Once you've done this hard work of introspection, you then identify your skills. And from there you decide if you prefer to continue practicing those skills or perhaps pick up new ones in your current line of work. And this is precisely the juncture that I find myself in now. I know what my skills are, and I know which of those are transferable. And I'm also aware of just how much work would be involved to develop new ones. At this delicate juncture in our careers, it is important to know ourselves very, very well. We need to know our wants and needs. What will make us happy? This is not as easy as it sounds. Do you know yourself well enough to know what is the best fit for you? In my own case, I have arrived at the following conclusions. Number 1, I don't need to continue climbing ladders. I am perfectly free to do whatever I please. I enjoy a sense of relief, peace, and calm as a result. Number 2, let's assume that I have anywhere between 15 and 23 years left of my work life. I had decided that I need to do something where I can express my creativity and continue to develop new skills. My preference now is for a role where I have a chance to express my creativity and continue to learn new things. This is very important to me. After getting to know yourself very well, you then need to assess whether your existing job will make you happy. And now comes decision time. Will I leave or will I stay? It's very, very important that if you do not yet feel that you know yourself well enough, do nothing. Suck it up until you have all the answers that you need. Make sure you know yourself very well as a result of this process of introspection. A job search in your 40s is a far different thing from one in your 20s. I no longer get the attention I used to. More importantly, I'm not getting all the callbacks that I used to when I do a job search. The expectations are obviously much higher from both the employer and from my own perspective. There is less scope for accepting aspects that don't make me happy, and that is because I feel that I've been there and done that. A job search at mid-career really is all about, more than ever, an assessment of fit. I personally am no longer interested in morphing myself into a role. I'm more keen to understand if the role will provide me what I need. And while we're on the topic of morphing, I absolutely hate this piece of advice with regard to removing experience from my CV. The idea here is that as your CV is a marketing document, you'll want to remove any kind of hint of how old you are so that perhaps ageism will not work against you and you will be invited in for an interview. Let me tell you why I absolutely hate this piece of advice. This is akin to a general artificially representing to a lesser degree the number of successful campaigns he has, or a financier who artificially reduces the number of deals he has closed. It makes absolutely no sense. I wear my successes and my failures proudly. These scars and this gray hair, I'm very proud of them. For those of us who have not done a job search in a while, be prepared for a huge shock. Have you looked at job ads lately? Technology has and continues to radically alter the workspace. What in the heck is a full stack developer? Python, a data miner? Let me share with you an actual blurb from an actual job advert that I came across. Experience of a successfully launched project in the Chinese market. Familiar with the Chinese market. A candidate must have fluent English, Chinese, and Russian. So we have here an employer who is looking for a full stack developer who knows Python, data mining, has experience in the Chinese market, and can speak English, Chinese, and Russian. Go figure. That's what we have to contend with out there. With the advent of big data, artificial intelligence, and other tech, we are seeing not just outsourcing, but flat out elimination of roles in the financial services space. I don't think this is the end of the world, but the keys to finding that role have always been, and continue to be, number one, you have to possess skills that are in demand, and you have to be able to successfully demonstrate that you can utilize those skills. So what I mean here by a mid-career switch is a transition from your current sector or industry into a new one. There is some good news and some bad news here. The good news is there is life after your current career, and it is possible to discern a vocation that is fulfilling and sustains your household. The bad news is that initially it will be at a reduced pay and it will require a lot of work and time to successfully transition. It seems to me, when doing a mid-career switch, you should not trap yourself by taking on something that you cannot handle. You're only going to set up yourself for failure. Always make sure that when you attempt a mid-career switch, you are using your foundational skills and experience and leveraging existing experience and skills into your new sector or industry. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It is risky, financially and emotionally. It requires making certain ethical and moral compromises from time to time that some of us may not be comfortable with. For these reasons, I believe that for most professionals, entrepreneurship is not a viable option. We therefore must find ways to express our need to add to society in other ways outside of entrepreneurship. If your own journey has brought you to the conclusion that starting a business is in order, here are some thoughts that I have to share. We have to begin at the beginning. Why do you want to start a venture? Are you running to something, or are you running away from something? These questions need to be answered before undertaking such a serious project. Running a business is not for everyone. You have to think very carefully as to why exactly it is that you want to start this business. Is it money, authority, power, fame, other? Can you get these via other means? You want to remove the source of your misery, not simply replace it. You want to own the business, not the other way around. This undertaking will be hard work. It will drain you psychically. How do you feel about investing your own capital? Are you prepared to see $100,000 or more go poof? The time required will be substantial, and you will be on your own. And then there's the anxiety, concerns, and worry. Will this succeed? In short, this venture will take a lot out of you. Make sure you choose a line that will be ultimately fulfilling. Something you enjoy doing for its own sake. What is your current financial situation? Are you truly free to shake the chains of employment? Right now, could you afford financially to take a step down and pay? If so, how much? And for how long can you afford to live without any income? These are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself. My final thought on starting a business is, don't be a hero and try to start from scratch. Utilize and leverage your existing skills and experience into your new venture. Bankers, for example, don't usually make for good restaurant owners. The skill sets are completely different. There will be a credibility gap when attempting to start in a new field. We must keep this in mind as well. Also, you should not try to juggle more than 3 major activities in your life at once. For example, a job, a business, a hobby, family interests, and so on. You will simply be too stretched. In this scenario, you are already shortchanging one. Finally, you have to determine very carefully what line of business to enter, understand all of its facets comprehensively before you proceed. After more than a quarter century of professional work, these are my thoughts. Work is holy. The fruits of our labors, what we leave behind as a result, are worthy of serious consideration. I think that most of us want to add to society, to give back. Always remember, nothing will come out in the end as you expected. You have to simply be prepared for the unexpected. As with all things on earth, the journey is a thing. Try to enjoy it. We can't take the fruits of our labors with us after we move on. I wish you well on your own journey.